Some love stories don't start with a grand announcement. They begin in quiet spaces, in mutual glances, in stillness. And sometimes, they don't rush to bloom under pressure. They take time. They learn, they survive, and eventually they breathe. That is the story of sweet Guluva and Ashley Ogle. They did not ask for attention. They did not insist on an audience. But somehow, through the natural rhythm of living and loving with intention, they have captured the attention of a nation. Not with spectacle, not with drama, but with honesty. Today, they live a life that is theirs. Not borrowed, not performed, theirs. A life that feels safe, sacred, built from care, faith, and an unwavering decision to live as fully as they can, with and for each other. And when you see them now, smiling, moving as one, growing without limits, what you are really witnessing is a love story that never asked to be written. It just needed to be lived. Their public lives might have intersected in the high-pressure, hyper-observed space that is Big Brother Mzansi, but their connection wasn't made for television. It wasn't crafted in confessionals. Instead, it was something that grew without permission. Something the cameras couldn't quite capture in full. Because how do you film the beginnings of mutual respect? How do you edit the silence where two people begin to see each other beyond words? There were no declarations, no grandiosity, just presence. And it was that presence that remained even after the show ended. Long after the competition and attention faded, Sweet and Ashley remained. They showed up for themselves, and somehow kept showing up beside each other. More certain, more whole, and more grounded each time. Life after reality television can be disorienting. The pressure to remain relevant, the echo of millions of opinions, the loss of routine. Many find it overwhelming. But sweet Guluva and Ashley didn't cling to the spotlight. They centered themselves and each other. What emerged was a life not of glamour, but of glow. In every quiet update they've chosen to share, what shines is not opulence, it's peace. The kind of peace that doesn't demand perfection. The kind of peace you find in someone who knows what you've carried and never asks you to shrink under it. Ashley Ogle, powerful in her own right, walks with a confidence that's not loud, it's rooted. Her presence is gentle and clear, like someone who has chosen not just where she's going, but who she wants beside her as she gets there. Sweet, as always, moves with assurance, with ease. Not the ease of someone without burdens, but the ease of a man who has stopped fighting the wrong wars, who now chooses softness, structure, growth. Together, they are not building an empire to flaunt. They are building a life to protect. There is a certain kind of story people expect from love born in public. Quick rises, public claims, perfect images. But Sweet and Ashley have given none of that, and still, their story holds more power than most. Why? Because they built, quietly, with their hands, their decisions, their consistency. They took what they knew they wanted and shaped it one layer at a time. Be it in their personal growth, their work, their spaces. Nothing about their evolution was loud. It was methodical. It was sacred. It was earned. This is the dream they live now. Not one they bought, one they birthed. And in a world that demands speed and instant gratification, their patience is perhaps the most powerful part of all. It's easy to make love a show, to become a brand. But love, real love, asks for something deeper. It asks to be lived when no one is watching. It asks for holding space, not holding poses. Sweet and Ashley seem to understand this. They are not posting to prove anything. They are not building for consumption. Their victories are shared in glimpses, not broadcasts. Their joy comes quietly, not forcefully. Because for them, it seems, the real joy is not in being admired, it's in being aligned. You can tell by the softness in Ashley's eyes when she's in his space, by the calm in Sweet's voice when he speaks of the life he's building. There is no striving, no rush, just being. And in that being, they are winning. People confuse the dream life with the accumulation of things. But for Sweet and Ashley, what they are showing now is something more meaningful than material. They are living a life that reflects clarity. Clarity in how they move. Clarity in how they work. Clarity in how they love. Their peace is not for show. It's protective. It's deliberate. And it's deeply felt by anyone watching closely. It's in the pace they've set. Unapologetically slow when necessary. Confidently full speed when it's time. But never rushed. Never reactive. Always rooted. That is the dream. To move when you mean it. To rest because you've earned it. And to do both beside someone who feels like home. Perhaps the most beautiful part of this chapter is how unapologetic they are in their happiness. Not arrogant, not boastful, just centered. It's in the way they show up to events, not to be seen, but to celebrate meaningfully. It's in the way they speak about their own journeys, not as tragedies, but as truths that made them who they are. It's in the way they protect their inner circle, not with secrecy, but with discernment. Sweet and Ashley are not hiding, but they are guarding. There's a difference. They are not distant, but they are intentional. And that intentionality has allowed their dream to flourish. Nothing about this life they're living now feels accidental. Every step feels chosen. Every peace feels protected. Every joy feels earned. And when two people walk through life with that kind of awareness, that kind of agreement, it becomes clear. This is not a love that happened to them. This is a love they chose. Again and again. Even when it would have been easier not to. Even when it required humility, patience, and hard decisions. And today, that's what makes their joy emotional to witness. Because it stands not as a symbol of perfection, but of perseverance. What people often misunderstand about love is that it doesn't peak during the honeymoon. It expands quietly, in errands, in routines, in schedules adjusted for each other's peace. Sweet and Ashley embody that quiet expansion. Their joy is not trapped in a single moment of celebration. It moves through their work, their walks, their silences. It shows up not just in the smiles, but in the shared systems they've built. In the consistency, in the little patterns that say, "I've got you," without needing to say it aloud. That kind of love doesn't fade. It matures. And when it does, it no longer needs an audience. It becomes infrastructure. Not because they're perfect, not because it was easy, but because they show us that it's possible to heal and still be held. That it's possible to shine without dimming each other. That it's possible to take up space together without losing oneself. In a world full of chaos, their steadiness is a soft kind of rebellion. One that whispers, "You don't have to rush to be valid. You don't have to shout to be seen. You don't have to explain your joy to make it real. You just have to live it." For Sweet and Ashley, their lives aren't defined by how they started, but by how they've stayed. Stayed honest. Stayed grounded. Stayed present. And perhaps the most beautiful prize of all is not the lifestyle, the status, the images, but the peace that now lingers in everything they do. Because when you've walked through fire and refused to burn, when you've stayed quiet when others called for clamor, when you've loved deliberately instead of resoundingly, you arrive, not with fanfare, but with fullness. And now, they are full. Full of their own presence. Full of their own rhythm. Full of the kind of love that doesn't just look good, but feels like home. Thank you. Please, where are you watching from?